right, we're live.
Hey.
Hi, everybody.
Hi,
Excited to
guys.
have you with us today. I'm Abby from Glew. I've got my colleagues Laura and Julie here with me today. If you guys want to say hi quick.
Hey, how's it going, everybody? Thanks for joining us.
My first webinar.
Yeah, this is Julie's
Yes,
first
it
webinar,
is.
so we're pumped to have
Yay.
her on screen with us today. Be easy on her. We're really excited to have you with us today. This is our third session in our Black Friday, Cyber Monday webinar series. If you joined us for our last two sessions, in our first one, we covered how to use your historical data to develop your Black Friday, Cyber Monday strategy. And in our second one, we covered what you need to know about COVID's impact to Black Friday, Cyber Monday, and how to drive growth for your business in this very unique season and year that we're in. Today, we're covering a topic that, as a marketing person, I'm really excited about. We're going to be diving into data-driven customer acquisition strategies and how to make sure your marketing channels are really working for you this year. So we'll give it just a minute or two for some of the latecomers to filter in, but I'll cover some logistics while we wait. So we're planning to keep these sessions pretty short and focused, so it probably won't go longer than 30 minutes, I would say. We'll leave plenty of time for questions at the end. So if you have questions, write them in the chat as we go, pop them in the little ask the questions box that you see at the bottom of your screen, and we'll kind of keep track of them as we go, and we'll tackle all of them at the end unless there's something that comes up that we need to kind of cover as we go. We also will be sending a recording of this out tomorrow. So if you have to drop off or if you want to send this to people on your team who couldn't be with us here today, so keep an eye out for that tomorrow. And we also have one more session coming up. It's going to be 2 weeks from today. So I'll share a little bit about that as we approach the end of our time here today. Awesome. So that, I think we can go ahead and get started. Laura, if you want to share your screen?
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, guys. Thank you for joining us today. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Okay.
Cool. So awesome. Yeah, again, thank you guys so much for joining us. We're really excited to have you with us today. I'm just going to give a really quick overview of what we are going to be covering before I turn it over to Laura and Julie to kind of cover the meat of this topic, which is going to be really great. So our topic today is making your marketing channels work for you, data-driven strategies for customer acquisition. I've mentioned this on the past couple of sessions if you've been with us before, but we're kind of using Black Friday, Cyber Monday, or BFCM as a shorthand throughout all of these presentations. By that, we really just mean the holiday shopping season, whatever that means for your business. That might have already started. That might mean that one singular weekend in November. We're kind of just using that as a abbreviation. So today we're going to be covering a few key customer acquisition trends that we see really playing a big role this Black Friday, Cyber Monday. And then along with each of those trends, we're going to be taking a look at how you can use the channel and the campaign data you have at your fingertips to really respond to those trends and stay on top of and drive customer acquisition in a really smart way this year. So from keeping your campaigns profitable to optimizing your campaign timing to some customer segmentation strategies for email marketing, performance reporting, and more. So we're going to kind of be covering a couple key topics in Glew that I think will be really useful and actionable for you guys going into the holiday season. We're also going to be touching on some different solutions, for, I think some will be really relevant for some smaller merchants and some will be relevant for some of the bigger brands that we have with us, since I think we have, people from both ends of the spectrum joining us today. Awesome. So unless you guys have anything to add, I will turn it over to Laura and Julie right now.
Awesome. Thank you. I love that picture. Thanks, Abby, for introing. So excited to have you guys joining us. And what a year it has been. Lots of craziness. So we know that this year is a complete anomaly. And so there is a lot to think about when planning for this year. I think the key is we have to know to expect the unexpected with Black Friday, Cyber Monday. Typically, Facebook advertising costs are 50% higher during Cyber Week, which is, that Black Friday, Cyber Monday that Abby was referencing. And we know competition is going to be incredibly fierce across all of your paid channels. So you want to think about, is it even a viable option for me to be specifically during Black Friday, Cyber Monday, to be advertising? I actually took a look at our top brands here at Glew. We have, thousands and thousands of users that log into Glew, but the stores that are, really top tier. So just to give you an idea of the spend across those types of brands, they're spending between that 5-day range around $900,000 that's on average, right? So there's ones that are way, way higher. But I think knowing that you're going to have those big behemoth brands advertising on these, especially like a Facebook, Instagram, and CPC Google. So we have to think about our plan, right? So we've got to have a plan going into it. And is it going to work well for me to actually, be advertising during this high peak time? I think if you're going to do it, you want to make sure it's a data-driven approach, looking for your highest AOV and highest conversion percent campaigns, ad sets, and ads. So we'll take a look at that in the app as well. And then using Glew's first order attribution to identify the highest lifetime value campaigns. So we'll also look at those, and then being ready to adjust your budget, basically looking at the strategy and is it flexible and making sure you're monitoring it closely to make sure the ROAS is there across the paid channels, and particularly Facebook, CPC, Google. CPMs, if they're climbing too high, just knowing that it's already typically higher during this week. And this year is just crazy. I mean, a lot of brick and mortars are, trying to make up for lost sales by gaining them online. So that means that they're increasing their budgets for ad spend during this time. So keep that in mind. When you're going back to kind of look at your performance advertising for Facebook specifically, depending on the complexity of your ads, how you have them set up, there's obviously campaigns, ad sets, and ads. So if you have, maybe not as many campaigns, but hundreds of ad sets, maybe you want to start filtering out at that level. But the key is, again, to find those high performing historically, and then potentially just isolated to last Black Friday, Cyber Monday. So use the ability to view this historical context and this historical data to help set you up for success during the holidays. Like I said, you can, look at a wider time frame or just isolate it to the last Black Friday, Cyber Monday. So it's really easy to add filters. Just come in, select, let's say we're doing AOV. If you do AOV, keep in mind that your AOV is going to be a bit lower around Black Friday, Cyber Monday. So if I'm looking historically just at last Black Friday, Cyber Monday, keep that in mind. If I'm looking at maybe all of 2020, I can go a bit higher, but just keep that in mind as you're filtering. So if you're historical, and you can look in highlights if you need a trend of AOV, but maybe I want to hit 25 because my AOV is typically around 20. So I want to get those higher campaigns, ad sets, and ads. So I can filter this out. I can also layer in others like conversion rate, right? So if I wanted to do a couple, I can go in, save this, name it, and create the segment. So these will live in the drop down. I did one for greater than $25 AOV. Again, you can layer those in. But now I can parse out historically what's worked really well, and that can be a part of my plan moving into the holidays. And like Abby said, it doesn't have to just be that week, that 4 or 5 day period. We should start earlier. So if we can't afford to throw, thousands and thousands of dollars at Facebook for advertising, maybe we could start doing it, now, because planning early and starting early is never going to be a bad thing. Buyers are buying now too, right? They're not all waiting until Black Friday, Cyber Monday. So it's good to start where you can and start with what you have, and always planning and starting early. The other part of, sorry about that. The other part of this too is I wanted to mention is looking at some other viable options for your business. So what are my other channels that are performing well? I would recommend in this case going to lifetime value. And I would look at something like, maybe the last year's worth of data or more. Glew's first order attribution is giving you a ton of insight, you guys. So if you know that your LTV is 134, now I have some context. So what's a high LTV? Well, anything higher than my average is good, right? We're trying to bring that up. So if we have a first order attribution model that we're looking at here in this case, which you can toggle between first order, last click, that's an acquisition heavy view, right? So I can say, okay, what has worked well for me in the last year that has the highest LTV, that maybe I see heavy acquisition and retention? That's going to be a really fantastic channel. So if it's something like an affiliate or a referral, maybe I want to go in and see what are some of those things that I'm running that is popping up, and this is dummy data, but for you, we can take a look again, sort by LTV for campaigns. So take a look at this historical data. There's a lot of information. I actually had a guy the other day that saw one of his highest LTVs was Harper Bazaar had written, he was in an article from like over a year ago, and he was still getting sales from that. So it's really cool with the first order attribution. And then over time, you can see how well that's really doing for you. So keep that in mind, that we can still pump out content. Not everything has to go through a paid ad. And we know email marketing is a fantastic option for your business to drive revenue. So that kind of goes into a segue into our next slide here.
Yeah, thanks, Laura. Can you hear me?
I can.
Perfect.
Loud and clear.
So email will be the highest converting channel. Y'all, with more than 100 million emails sent on Black Friday, you really need to stand out. So within this year has really represented the single greatest shift e-commerce the world has ever seen. Research has shown that 90% of consumers are now shopping online, which has driven revenue from email through the roof. The result, well, e-commerce sales are predicted to exceed $1.1 trillion this year for the first time ever. So with that being said, email volume is amplified. Email marketing done right is possibly the most profitable marketing channel you have. But with so much email hitting your customers' inboxes, how can you stand out, grab people's attention, and ultimately buy? So before you start to map a plan for the content you want to send out for BFCM, it's critical that you understand precisely who you're targeting. So we can go into the app, Laura, and we're going to build, we can build segments or use predefined segments based on buyer behavior and data points. And these are a great way to make sure the content you send out over Black Friday, Cyber Monday gets seen. I recommend thinking about a few different segments that likely exist within your main list. So firstly is prioritize, let's go to customer segments, Laura, or VIPs, that's perfect. We want to prioritize our VIP customers. As you can see, this is our dummy data in our demo store, which is under construction. But so VIP customers, these are, when ranking customers by revenue they've generated, customers are in the top 10%. So if you're planning to send a great offer to a broader set of customers over Cyber Weekend, definitely recommend targeting these VIP customers, even to give them early access. So VIP customers, this is a great way, to continue their advocacy for your brand, as these are also your biggest spenders, and you want them to know ahead of time that you're going to be spend worthy on Black Friday, Cyber Monday. So for example, you could push this customer segment into Klaviyo or MailChimp, and you can set it and forget it with those emails, and these are really great segment of people to really push. Another one we like to look at is the 12 months since last purchased. So these are going to be the customers that only purchased from you really during the holidays. Bringing these shoppers back now is important because their behavior indicates they're more likely to buy around this type of year, around this time of year. So for example, we could really show products related to their previous purchase and really push those into emails. As you can see here, another tactic we've had clients use for these this segment of customers is, you could thank them for their past purchase and let them know ahead of time that you're having a killer Black Friday and Cyber Monday deal. So really, you want to contact these people now and get them really amped up for upcoming sales, and by dynamically pushing the segment to email system. Also, high AOV versus low AOV customers. So by grouping your customers based on their average order value, high or low, we can make a strategy by, matching the top or most popular gifts for more of, the high lifetime value or low lifetime value group. So if higher AOV customers are spending more with you, then we can really market those products that are a little more costly. And last one is Q4 customers. And I think I had Laura build this out.
Yep.
But you can build a dedicated segment of customers that were first active with your brand last Q4. So knowing that this group of customers is likely more price sensitive than others, you can offer this segment of customers more aggressive deals throughout the year in an effort to build a lasting relationship with them. So with these, segments, it's really important to customize and personalize, your client's experience during this time to stand out. A recent survey showed that 80% of consumers are more likely to make a purchase when brands offer personalized experiences. And really, email is a great way to do it. So like I said, you really need to communicate your sales and offerings to your list ahead of time. Really let your audience know what's coming. You could offer exclusive access to, even your VIP customers ahead of time. And you can communicate that to them to shop early because the best products will, sell out. You could tease your deals early. We're seeing a lot of the bigger brands really doing this now. I would say the hype process is really starting the first week of November, based on last year's data, that, brands are really building anticipation for customers. And also tease the exclusivity of a deal. So try not to compete with the massive deals at, big brands if you're not one that can really compete with that. So rather than presenting, a 15% off deal in a subject line of an email, focus on how rare and exclusive the deal is. So for example, our biggest discount of the year, now your 15% isn't competing against, say, Gap or Old Navy's 80% off deal. Instead, you're letting customers know that this is your best offer relative to all other offers you've sent them. Mm-hmm. And by framing your deal around the relativity of the deal and not the absolute number, you're no longer competing against those giant brands, but you've moved things to an entirely different playing field. So for people who love your products, the message is clear. Now is the time to buy. So overall, the power of urgency and scarcity isn't some underground secret, and customers' inboxes will be packed with emails employing, both on Black Friday, Cyber Monday. So your goal is to employ the techniques I just mentioned and be different as a means to stand out. And one way to stand out is really your timing. And so when Laura's going to cover that.
Yeah, I am. And let me get back here. Okay. So we know BFCM shoppers, well, now you're going to know that BFCM shoppers who buy for the first time from a retailer make their first visit on average 41 days prior. So, that again goes back to the theme. And I'm sure if you guys have watched any webinars, it's all about planning, starting early. So anything that you can do to get in front of your customer earlier is going to be better. So if you haven't started, hopefully this is going to light a fire for you, and some of this data can help you to drive some decisions. But really making sure, and these takeaways, like I said, launching early and considering the sales cycle. So if you sell diamond rings, obviously we know that's going to be a much longer sales cycle than a very purchase frequency heavy brand, maybe someone that sells makeup, right? But I think, all in all, the buyer is just very they have, so much information at their fingertips. So they're a very informed buyer. So they're going to be doing lots of searching. I think, really, again, using that historical data, it's like gold for your business. This is so much good information that we can be executing on, and maximizing those efforts by identifying the most profitable days of week and time of day. So those are going to be drop downs in the highlights menus. So, the example I have here, like CPC Google might be a totally different time and day that sales, are coming in versus Bing. Bing is a different demographic than CPC Google, which could be different than, TikTok or Instagram. So we want to think about that and treat, our different customers differently. So the beauty of it is we have that data available to you. I've already filtered out CPC Google as a channel. So there's a couple of ways that I would maybe first look at this. So kind of aggregating over a wider time frame. So I can aggregate all those weeks and say, okay, over the last year, or maybe so far this year, Thursdays and Mondays seem to be my best day, but Thursday, a little bit more. Maybe if I look specifically to last Black Friday, Cyber Monday, if you want to look and kind of isolate, one smaller window of time, we could go in and select that specifically, right? If we want to apply it. So maybe we want to kind of look, across not just revenue, because I think right now, especially with first-time buyers coming in, revenue is not most important, right? People are doing gift with purchase, like whatever we can do to get that conversion. So if conversion's more important to you, then focus on that, right? It doesn't always have to be revenue and AOV to start if you're acquiring a customer. So AOV is one that we can look at, refunds, visits, and conversion rate. So, potentially looking at those higher visit days historically, and then again, the best day of week, time of day across the different channels. So the beauty of this conversion rate, we can come in and we can see for acquisition specifically. And remember, first order attribution is super unique to Glew, and I hope you're taking advantage of it. So coming in here, maybe for Facebook, I'm finding my best day of week, time of day, not just revenue, but like my conversion rate, right? So I'm going to group this by, not month, by day of week. So Facebook, and we can get rid of previous if we want and just isolate. Okay, so Wednesday specifically for Facebook, and then maybe, for another channel, it's Thursday. So this is going to help you create a really comprehensive plan. So I hope that you guys utilize it. That is going to be specific to the channels and identifying timing and optimizing timing. So let's get into it for the next one here.
Yeah, so with millions of people flocking to the internet right now, hunting for deals and discounts on products that they want to purchase, we're seeing that, this year, shoppers are prioritizing both quality and price, with a 60% increase in searches for best affordable. So during BFCM, these discount-seeking shoppers increase in number, and you're expected to keep up. So that's why it's so important to test and check your readiness for traffic and demand upsurges. So other than ads, you need to utilize a wide variety of channels to promote your products during the holiday sales. So because the bid prices on keywords are way higher around this time, you will have to carefully market your products that will fetch you, clicks and conversions. So to market your products smartly around the holiday season, you need to rely first on, keywords you use for product pages are important. You want to ensure that your product descriptions are optimized with the keywords consumers use to search them, such as best affordable. Also make sure that while you're optimizing the descriptions relevant keywords, you're also making sure the information being provided helps shoppers make an informed purchase. So we also need to look at what people are tending to buy from you during the holidays. So we can go into the app and we want to identify the product using our, SWOT marketing data. And we want to look at what was most popular amongst shoppers during last holiday season. So doing so will help you understand which product ranges your shoppers are more interested in. And more importantly, it will give you an idea of what to promote. So Laura's going to filter it, and then we can do...
this is dummy data, so it says 0, but hopefully you sold more than 0 during that week.
Yeah, so our hot products, we want to look at not only that, but, highest velocity historically and those top products. And Laura, what were you telling me earlier about this?
So, I mean, you can't ever predict the future, but if you know, like, your really hot products, particularly if you were to search, just those top kinds of product trends during the pandemic and just during COVID, like the ones with larger upticks, keeping all of this in mind, right? We want to think about, are we ready in terms of quantity available? Heck out of something and, through all these channels and have the strategy, but if we don't have anything available for them to buy, or we're not set up for success there, that's, not a good thing, right? So we want to think about what kind of demand did we have historically. All you would have to do is take the units on average per day times at least 5, but you want, at least probably a couple weeks of inventory around the heavy shopping period. And we want to take that units per day times, however many days you hope to have inventory. That way you can kind of see, and you could average it out over a wider time frame if you'd like. If you're like, well, I maybe want to buffer it from, the 24th to the 7th, let's say. Because I want to see, is it slightly less? Okay, yes, it is, because I'm averaging it out now across those days, right? So time matters here, whatever date you go to historically. So you could look at it a couple different ways, but finding, what kind of demand did I have and making sure that you're set up. So if you're going to be pushing like maybe 3 different SKUs through your paid advertising, you want to make sure that you have enough inventory for your especially new customers coming in. You want them to have a good first impression.
Absolutely. And then you want to lead with those right products on varying channels. But let's say, your product that's super hot on Instagram might not necessarily be, super hot on Google. So what we can do is we can look at which products really performed well on those different channels last year, because as Laura previously mentioned, one is Instagram is going to be a younger demographic than, say, Facebook. And so, what does well on one channel might not necessarily do well on another. So by segmenting out your products this way, you can really see which products to push on which channel.
Yeah, absolutely. And just to point out too, hot products is different from just sorting by quantity sold. Hot products, the period over period is showing you how many more of a product sold during that time frame versus the previous period. So if you're trying to just purely look at quantity sold or revenue, you can sort this different ways. I think the hot product and cold product are really interesting segments that take you straight to like what happened differently during that time. So it's a little bit more context. So just to clarify that.
Awesome. So as Laura said, the holiday season's full of unknowns. And so I think now she's going to segue into really you have to reserve some budget for unforeseen events.
Yeah. So I thought that was interesting that, and this came from DigiDay. So this holiday season is, like we have said this whole time, so many unknowns. So agencies are actually recommending that clients reserve up to 10% of budget for the unforeseen events that are to come. So, obviously everything's like just more expensive, more competition. We need more budget kind of reserved here for any emergencies. And you have to be able to pivot. So that's why we want to make sure the takeaway here is, first of all, having a plan. I actually linked in here. I thought this was a really good one from Shopify that just gives you an overall BFCM checklist that definitely has some marketing that touches on kind of the channel information that we talked about, just the overall plan for doubling down on your top sales channels. So I think just some really good things that maybe you didn't think about. More people buying gift cards. Like, am I set up to have everything that would be needed to have just a good shopping experience? And then setting up those automated reports to really track almost in real time, as you're going through the day, and being able to log in, go right to your reports and like straight to the good stuff, or automating a report scheduled out. So some of them that are mentioned here. So revenue, profit by channel, new customers by channel. So I kind of showed you some of this stuff, but I already saved it in the reports tab. ROAS, so seeing your performance ROAS by channel, and then just identifying some opportunities that may come up. So we gave you some good tips on ways to kind of filter things, and you could be tracking some really important information. I'm going to go into reports just so we don't have to spend too much time building it. I'm going to take you right to the ones that I pulled. So last 7 days, and you can do yesterday, however you want to look at it. I like this because it gives you like each day and you can kind of hover over. But I pulled this from performance overview, revenue by channel. So I actually saved both the first order attribution and the last click. We know lots of new people are going to be coming in and shopping, right? So last click is going to be their first order, but not everybody, right? So we want to track both because one is more acquisition heavy and one is more retention heavy, right? Your first order attribution might be CPC Google because, yes, you paid to acquire those customers, whereas your last click is going to be email, most likely, right? So that's why if you always are living in GA, you're going to be like, wow, my email is crushing it. Well, yeah, it is in a last click world, right? So we got to keep into context, like what's my attribution window that I'm like staring at all day? I need to make sure that I'm looking at where am I getting my information? Is it giving me the full picture? So that's why I saved both for you. And I hope you guys do the same to take a look at those. And then the next one that I have is net profit by channel, which is also under performance overview, net profit by channel. So all I did was click the 3 dots, save it to a new report. And of course, this is going to be sorted by net profit. And oops, I need to go back. So we know that if you add your cost of goods sold, which I hope that you have, that's going to take out the cost of goods from the products purchased from those very channels. So we're merging and really bringing together your shopping cart and your Google Analytics here, right, with that first order attribution. And you could also save last click if you'd like. Now, this is a yesterday view because you might want to track this one daily, right? And then even come in live in the app if you're not scheduling it out to send to you. So these are just, a different way to look at it, right? If you're always focused on revenue, that's not getting you closer to like profitability. So we want to look at what's happening there as well. And then a couple others that we could look at. So I don't think that did I save this one? I don't know if this is the one that I saved. I think this is from someone else. But this is good to note too. So maybe you want to see like shoppers, and it could be a custom period, but most likely it's going to be dynamic. So you probably want like a last 7 day or a yesterday view, and then refresh that. So this can be something that we track on a channel level. So maybe I have the same like KPI, right? So revenue, AOV, conversion rate, whatever it is you're trying to track, right? And I might want to break it out by channel, but to see it over time. So there's different ways that you can track this data, right? Some people like that table format because it gives you more context. It has ad spend in there as well. So a couple of different ways you can set it up. Now, whether it's yesterday, last 7 days, we can set up a recurring report. So put your email in there. We could do a daily report. So I don't know, around this time, you probably might want these on the weekends. Sometimes people deselect these, but putting your email in there, click enter. You can have a little message if it's going out to your team, maybe an encouraging message. You're going to be working really hard during this time. So maybe just like a little like friendly note, like thanks for all of your hard work. It's much appreciated. If you're the owner, like much love, you know, whatever. I think that that could be kind of like an encouraging little thing you could add in there for teammates. In my reports, the last one I wanted to do, so this was the one that we had actually saved earlier in regards to like a high velocity, high quantity, kind of filtering that out. Maybe you want to do high velocity, low quantity if you're actually tracking it in the thick of things. So you can kind of use a varying combination of filters to get what you're after with the data. That's in products. And then you also might want to look at the top products being sold, as we had mentioned earlier. Now, it doesn't have to be hot products. It could just be Facebook, Instagram. Maybe I'm just trying to track, you know, orders, and I want to bring in my quantity available for context. And I'm going to go ahead and save this to a report because I want to make sure that I'm keeping on top of, let's say I'm running Facebook or Instagram ads, and I want to see, like, first of all, what are people buying? Because I could be pushing one product. Let's say I'm pushing the Kelly clutch, but everyone's buying the Aaron Black wedge for whatever reason. So that's good information to have, and then you pivot on that information over time. So hopefully this is helpful. You can automate those reports. And that was kind of the last of it. I think these are just some top, you know, acquisition hacks, you know, looking at first-time customers, maybe tagging them during this window or just ongoing in general. It's good to understand, what are my first-time shoppers buying? If you tag them in Shopify and you can automate the process, you can automate that process and then be able to forever kind of see that data flowing in, all of the information associated with it. So that's going to be under tags. I have other customers that use it based on discount codes. How cool would it be to see, like, let's say you had a BFCM 20. You're tagging customers that come in through that. You can see them, whether they're acquired. So you're going to have all the customers. Let's say this is the BFCM group. I can see all the customers acquired. And then over time, let's say going into 2021, like you're looking at so far this year, how that code is performing. Not that code, but the customers that came from it. Maybe you see that the lifetime value of this group is sky high. And remember that we're always hanging on to where the customer came from, right, originally. So maybe like BFCM, huge winner for a coupon code. But originally, most of those people came in from Facebook. So it would be really interesting to have, and we always hold on to that information for you. So the more information you guys, you know, want to track, I mean, obviously the better for you. And then going into the next holiday, you'll be even more prepared. And I think just, you know, again, Facebook lookalike audiences for new acquisition, that VIP segment that that Julie mentioned, they are the top 10% of your base, but they account for 20 to 50% of revenue in a given period, most of the time. So they're very important, and that's been a really big win for a lot of brands running that one. There's also a lot of other examples, but that's a good one to start with. Diversifying. So we talked a lot about just it's going to be really crowded, right? It's very expensive. So what else can we do? I meant to link this one as well. I think they're kind of different, but ones that I've heard of merchants doing before. Actually, a funny story with the next door, they found over time there was a really high LTV from that one, and it was kind of an experiment. So that first order attribution is going to help you to track the viability of those channels if it's new for you. User-generated content, we know that's huge. Is there anything out there that, you know, your customers are posting stuff all the time? Is there something you could be utilizing and getting them involved? My friend does a really good job with that. With her blog. She sells, and she also has a blog, and she's constantly reposting her customers' content. And it gets people excited and really bought into your brand. And then just looking at competition, we linked here how to research your competition, but are you set up for success? So take a look at the landscape and make sure that you're prepared going into this crazy time. So I know that we went a little bit over what we said. So sorry about that, Abby. But want to make sure that we answer any questions that y'all might have just because we covered a lot of information.
Yeah, and no problem. Yeah, sorry to keep you guys, but it was a lot of really good information, and I think hopefully super actionable for you guys. Or if you can just stay on that last slide if you want, that's totally fine. Because I'm gonna just cover some information there. Yeah, if you guys have questions, we'll hang out here for a couple of minutes. So pop them in the chat or in the ask a questions box. Or if you have something, really, really niche, or you want to really dig into your store's data, reach out to us anytime. If you're a current Glew user, reach out to us at support@glew.io. If you're not a Glew user yet, that's totally fine. There's plenty of time between now and kind of the peak of the holiday season to get up and running with your data. Laura and Julie's emails are up here on the screen. You can reach out to either of them. You can start a trial or schedule a demo at either of those links, and we'll send these slides out as well. We've also got our Black Friday Cyber Monday guide linked in here. There's some really good tips in there, some of which we covered today and some of which, are outside of kind of the scope of this session. So that should be really, really useful for you guys as well. I'm not seeing any questions, which is great. I take it that we answered everything.
Yay!
Awesome. So we'll just hang on for just a couple more seconds just to make sure. But we do have, again, another webinar coming up in 2 weeks. So we've got it will actually tie in really nicely to today's. So if you want to go ahead and mark that on your calendars, we're going to be talking about customer retention and how to turn the holiday shoppers you acquire this season into longtime customers. So that should be really interesting.
That sounds very interesting.
Yeah, we're super pumped about that. All right, well, I think we're good. I will just pull up our videos really quick so we can say goodbye. And thank you guys so much for joining us. I hope you got a lot out of this. It was great talking with you, and we will talk to you soon.